unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live, Boxing Ego Unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Virgil Hunter warns Canelo, I was born ready. Alvarez about the dangers of facing Kovalev from experience. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang notification gang, please hit the bell icon. ESPN Plus, sign up below. Link is in the description of all my videos. And Kovalev versus Yar was on there. They got Lomachenko about to fight against Luke Campbell, 2 gold medalists going at it. Sign up below. Link is in the description. It helps the channel. I'm Disney Ego. I am an affiliate. So again, it helps my affiliate stuff. And you get to see some fights. You know, UFC, they have cards on there, documentaries, 30 for 30, boxing, that kind of stuff. It's in the description of all my videos. Now, Virgil Hunter did an interview with Fight Hype, link in the description as well. And he talked about the potential Canelo versus Sergey Kovalev fight, and he's talking from experience because his fighter Andre Ward, now retired, has faced Kovalev not once but twice. So he's been up against Kovalev and got several rounds in and had to prepare his fighter for what was a contested first fight. I think Ward won, but you know, the judges only gave it to Ward by 1 round, unanimous decision. So he cleaned it up in the rematch, but it was a high stakes rematch and Ward pulled through and ended up stopping Kovalev. Very good game plan, etc. So the talk is that Kovalev and Canelo could face each other, and I've stated my opinion. I'm gonna read Virgil Hunter, what he had to say, and then I'll give you more of my thoughts. Virgil Hunter says, Canelo Kovalev, it's a fight that you would want to ask yourself, why would he want to take that fight, right? He says, you got to give him credit for daring to be great. It's obvious that Canelo sees something he feels he can exploit. All I can do is give him credit for taking a fight of that magnitude and jumping up 2 weight classes to put himself in a dangerous situation like that. Win or lose, he's going to get credit even if he loses, because he got out there. He's got an out. He dared to be great. With his fan base, he's not going to be ridiculed, put down, or talked about. He's going to be put more on a pedestal by daring to be great. Other fighters are going to be challenged to make a same move. You know, he also goes on and said Canelo moved up in weight for the Golovkin fight. Outside of the Golovkin fight, he strategically moved up in weight. Obviously, the Rocky Fielding fight. And outside of the Golovkin fight, that was really the only dangerous fight. I think he fought Edison Lara at 54. Since he moved up in weight, he only fought Golovkin at 160. And he didn't fight anyone else at 60, I don't think. He did fight Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., but he put him in a bad predicament by putting a lot of weight clauses on Chavez Jr. He was definitely going to be a limited Chavez Jr. in just getting him down to a weight he hadn't fought in a while. To take that kind of weight off, it was a weight that he wasn't going to perform at his best. Again, Canelo has the advantage of a catchweight fight, and if you have the advantage of a catchweight fight and you're the A side, those advantages are going to be in your court. It's not going to be in the other guy's court. It's going to be in your court. In the Amir Khan fight, we asked for weight concessions to make it even more of a fight against Canelo, that he could only put a certain amount of weight on, and he balked at it. So all the advantages were in Canelo's court. I had absolutely no margin of error nowhere. And in a fight of that magnitude, you do want a margin of error somewhere along the performance line. Khan had none. So Canelo put it on Chavez, and he got him at the right time, heavy and badly out of shape. And he got James Kirkland at the right time. He'd been off for 1.5 years and not fighting. It's very predictable. Now, link in the description so you guys can check it out. Virgil Hunter spitting facts, and it's crazy. New media. I've been saying the same thing. Canelo is a terrific fighter, excellent fighter. We, enjoy the way Canelo fights. He's definitely one of the biggest stars in boxing, but it's no mystery that, he's taken a lot of weight issues and made it beneficial to him. Like Chavez at a catch weight, You know, Amir Khan, I have a video talking to Amir Khan. We did like a media roundtable, and Amir Khan says, we tried to get Canelo at a catch weight, you know, or a rehydration clause. And they told me, he said, Golden Boy told them, I have it on video. This is back when the fight was about to happen in Oakland, when I seen Amir Khan at the Oracle. And Amir Khan says, we try to get a rehydration clause, and we try to get, you know, see if he'll do a catch weight like he did with Mayweather. And they said, absolutely not. Take it or leave it. You know, you fight him at 155 Canelo weight. He gets to rehydrate to whatever the fuck he wants, or no fight. And Amir Khan, you know, desperate because he hadn't been able to get Mayweather or Pacquiao or whoever he wanted. He was desperate for a big money fight, and he just took it, which was senseless, but he took it. And then he ended up getting knocked out for his trouble in a fashion worse than we've seen, you know, with one devastating punch. He's been hurt and knocked out before, Bradis Prescott and Danny Garcia, but he actually somewhat got back up from those. When he got knocked out by Canelo, it was just too big, too much force, and it was one single shot that just laid him, you know, laid him out. Bad knockout. Kenny Bayless seen him on the mat, and it was a wrap. So Virgil Hunter is preaching. He's corroborating everything Canelo told me back then. Amir Khan told me back then. They wouldn't allow a rehydration clause or cap or a catch weight. You know, they say, oh, he's the A side, deal with it. You know, and this has been the case. And you see how Canelo, when he was at 155, we're talking about Amir Khan, who only had a handful of fights, maybe 3 fights at 147. He was a 140 pounder, you know, a career 140 pounder around there, who just recently moved up and beat Collazo, Devin Alexander, and had a tough time with Chris Algieri. He had about a year off, then he fought Canelo. So he had about 3 fights, you know, just a couple of fights at 47. So to make him go to the full 155, not even 154, you know, you're not budging at all. Meanwhile, when Canelo fights bigger guys like Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., Danny Jacobs, Rocky Fielding, guys with tall frames and stuff, and instead of just totally outskilling them, like despite them being heavier, he puts a weight cap on them. So it's just common sense. It's common sense. Why would you have a rehydration clause on the bigger framed guys that you're fighting, but then you refuse to do one for Amir Khan because you want all the advantages, which is basically what Virgil Hunter is saying, you know? And you can argue these guys signed a contract. That is true. But also what I'm saying is true. You could say, oh, they signed a contract, so it is what it is, you know, but it doesn't change from the fact that this is a strategy. Like when Andre Ward fought Sullivan Barrera and Kovalev, he had just moved up from 68. He beat them guys off of skill. There was no, Kovalev didn't have to like weigh in the morning of and all these, you know, man-made rules. Now, if it's a sanctioning body like the IBF that forced somebody to do like a weigh-in, then that's whatever, you know, because that's nobody, it's no one particular camp enforcing that. So those are rules within the sanctioning body. But Danny Jacobs was an IBF champion. They do have an IBF same-day weigh-in, but that is omitted and null and void if it's a unification, because Danny Jacobs fought Golovkin and he kind of like cheated or beat the system. Not cheated, but, you know, he beat the system by having a strategy of, you know, I'll fight Golovkin for the other belts. I'm not really so much worried about the IBF. I'm going to come in comfortable. So they changed that rule, you know. So in unifications, which Canelo versus Jacobs was, they made it so there is no same day mandatory weigh-in. But Canelo's team and Golden Boy enforced that Danny Jacobs did it, and they fined him heavily if he were to come in heavier. And Jacobs still, you know, blew off the weight, you know, contracted weight. I don't know if he ever was made to pay or whatever, but he was supposed to based on, you know, and you looked at it, Canelo, he kind of faded during the stretch. He came out really sharp, but then towards Jacobs and in the end, he kind of faded, and it wasn't his, you know, it wasn't a James Kirkland type of performance from Canelo. You know, he started off real sharp, but then he kind of tapered out. So it's no mystery. Canelo's the A side, and this is the bullshit. This is what they do to black fighters all the time. You know, Canelo has nothing to do with Floyd Mayweather, but they'll attribute Canelo and his team's decisions to constantly have weight stipulations, and they'll blame Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather never used to catch weight this frequently and had weight advantages. In fact, Floyd fought De La Hoya and Cotto at the full 54. Those are some of his best, you know, big name marquee wins at a higher weight class, and there was no rehydration clause. And he was the B side versus De La Hoya, you know, and he fought Cotto, where Cotto had actual experience versus like Yuri Foreman and stuff at the higher weight, and is naturally bigger. You know what I'm saying? And then even the Canelo fight, Canelo was 23, 13 years younger, and they fought at a catchweight of 152. Canelo only had to drop from that point 54 to 155 or 152. That's only 2 pounds. You know, Mayweather had to move up more weight than Canelo had to drop at a young age. So Mayweather's frequently fought bigger fighters, but when it comes to Canelo, you know, they're trying to make it like he's the next Mayweather, but skillfully, he's not. It doesn't look like he's all the way comfortable fighting guys with massive weight advantages. So the Kovalev fight, it's interesting, especially since Kovalev, he got a stoppage versus Yard. So it's interesting, but I still feel the same way. And you listen to what Virgil Hunter's saying, he sounds like he's saying some of the similar stuff that I've been telling you. New media, once again, you hear me say it, then you hear trainers and fighters and people in the industry say similar stuff. You know, Canelo obviously sees something that he can exploit. But I'm getting tired of this dare to be great stuff. We've seen it. Khan dared to be great versus Canelo, Kell Brook versus Triple G, Mikey Garcia versus Errol Spence. It's like, clean out your own division, or instead of moving up 2 weight classes, clean out your current division or clean out the division above you, you know, campaign there for a little while, show what you can do, and then consider moving up. Or in situations like Adrian Broner or Terrence Crawford, they were at 135, fought a couple of guys. There was really no one, there's no work for them. You know, Broner wanted to fight Ricky Burns, and Ricky Burns was ducking him, you know, so he just really fought Antonio DeMarco, who was probably the best guy there, the most, you know, stature and a champion, and Broner pieced him to fuck up. Then he fought like Gavin Reese, and he moved up to 47, which, you know, was a turning point in his career, because after the Paulie Malignaggi championship fight, he fought Maidana and lost. So maybe he bit too ambitious. But nonetheless, Broner at 35 was a monster, and there just wasn't no real good big fights for him. So he sought out bigger opportunities. Same thing with Terrence Crawford. 35 didn't really have nobody that was like some major fight where he needed to stay. You know, this was before Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney and all these other guys were there, you know, that, you know, Lomachenko and stuff that'll make it interesting. So naturally he moved to 140. And then when he became undisputed, he moved to 47, you know. But with Canelo, what he's doing, there's talent in the talent pool finally at 160. Charlo, Demetrius Andrade, who's aligned with DAZN where Canelo is at. You're going to bypass them and a Triple G trilogy. That's 3 quality 160-pound fights that could happen, 2 of which, Triple G and Andrade, are aligned with your same company, DAZN, the same platform. You bypass all that and Charlo to move up 2 divisions. It just don't make sense. You know, you move up past beyond 168 with killers. Caleb Plant, sweet hands. That man's a monster. Slick in there. You know, he had his surgery and his power showing up more, and his confidence. He has the confidence of a champion. You got David Benavidez, Anthony Durrell, right? You got Caleb Smith, who look like a dog, versus Hassan Ndam, needs the big names. You're going to bypass all that to fight Kovalev, who we keep seeing get hurt to the body, you know, by Ward, and we've seen him knocked out before. Kovalev's a good fighter. He beat Anthony Yarde, but Canelo's not Yarde because Canelo has learned on the job since he was 15. So he's fought big fights before. Anthony Yarde hadn't really fought any fight that big and did, you know, pretty well for himself. He acquitted himself nicely. He definitely did better than Anthony Joshua. So, you know, we unpack. To me, I think it just doesn't make sense for Canelo to bypass all the talent in the talent pool where he's a champion at 160, 168. Why'd you fight Rocky Fielding for some fake version of a belt if you're not going to defend it against no other champion or unify or consolidate? You know, why are you a champion, have a belt at 160, but you're not fighting a 160 pounder? You know, you're just going to skip over all that. That's, you know, it doesn't make sense to me for fighters to keep daring to be great. You know, when back in the day, Roberto Duran, yes, he dared to be great. It's a different time. You know, he was a monster at 135. He needed new challenges. He's hitting too hard. Same thing with Shane Mosley, Sugar Shane Mosley. He was destroying. His record was like 37 and he had like 33, 34 knockouts. So nobody was really fucking with him in the lightweight. So of course, naturally, he went up, fought a big SoCal fight, and moved up. You know, took a tune-up or whatever, and then fought Oscar De La Hoya. That made sense, you know. But Canelo not fighting Charlo, not fighting Triple G a third time, maybe to get closure. And I'm not even so big on that fight, but it's still an option, you know, or fighting Demetrius Andrade, who's also a champion. Canelo said he wanted to be undisputed at 160. Fighting someone at 175 doesn't bring you any closer to being undisputed in any division. If anything, it provides less clarity, because if Canelo, let's say he beats Kovalev, he's going to be a champion at 160, a champion at 168, and 175. That's bullshit, because how you a champion in 3 different weight classes and you're not fighting, you're picking and choosing, and you're not even like defending against the people that are the top dogs in that division, you know? Now you can say Kovalev is the top dog, he has a resume, but again, like Virgil Hunter is saying, like I've been saying, I think they see something in Kovalev, like I've been mentioning on my channel, and they feel like Canelo's style and his hand speed, they'd rather deal with somebody who hits hard, who can box well, but has all these visible vulnerabilities, rather than deal with another guy who's bigger, but has a totally different style that will plague Canelo a lot more. You know, Kovalev still has, his vulnerabilities are on full display. He still has a Russian kind of, you know, stereotypical Eastern European style. He's not really throwing hella hooks and uppercuts and stuff like that. A lot of straight shots, a lot of jabs. So they would rather deal with that because it's more basic and fundamentally correct, because that's what Canelo does. Canelo is fundamentally correct too, but he has more hand speed. You know, he's once beaten, he's never been stopped, and he has better defense. And he coming up in weight, he'll probably be faster overall than Kovalev. So there's still some danger because Kovalev is no chump in there. But again, you can't compare it to Anthony Yarde. That's why they just released the odds for like the betting lines, and Canelo's the favorite, because people who are actually putting their money up, not talking on YouTube, you know, leaving silly ass comments trying to go against new media, you know, people who are actually betting their own hard-earned money, they know what the fuck I'm saying is true, and they see that Canelo stylistically has a lot of advantages. Bottom line, if Kovalev can't land anything because he's going to be slow, Golovkin's slow, you know, Kovalev's slow. These guys aren't fat. You know, it's not like the Roy Jones blazing speed. So Canelo's going to be able to probably see the punches coming, and he already spars with guys that are light heavyweight. So this is nothing is really new, nothing new. And his walk around weight is a lot heavier than people think. So, you know, I think they're picking on Kovalev because they think he's easy pickings, you know, because he showed enough of his vulnerability. Because why not fight Caleb Smith? He's looking like the man. He won a World Boxing Super Series, put George Groves in a retirement. The guy you fought, Rocky Fielding, Caleb Smith, he knocked him out in 1 round, where it took Canelo, he was beating the shit out of Fielding, but it took 3 rounds or whatever for Canelo, right? So it's clearly, that's why I say it's a selective cherry pick. The David Benavidez looks like a fucking beast, a monster. Caleb Plant, Charlo, Andre, these guys all look really good in prime, never been stopped type shit. You know, half of them that I mentioned, Andre, Charlo, you know, Caleb Plant, David Benavidez, they're all undefeated. You know, Caleb Smith, all undefeated fighters. So you bypass 5, 6, you know, guys in closer divisions to where you are that are all undefeated to fight a guy with 3 losses, 2 by stoppage, and who just got hurt, even though he beat Yarde, he just got hurt in that fight too. You know, and you tell me that's not a strategic cherry pick, pitting the different styles and kind of foreshadowing what style. Canelo has fought a lot of Eastern European styles, you know, Matthew Hatton, Ryan Rhodes, Liam Smith, Amir Khan, you know, a bunch of guys from Great Britain and UK, like Rocky Fielding and stuff. We know he does good against that style, but we know you lost to Mayweather. We know Lada pushed you and made a difficult fight. Demetrius Andrade is kind of like the best, you know, he's like elements of both of them. You know, there's a bit of Mayweather type of stuff that he does, a bit of Lada, plus he's a southpaw. So that's a totally different fight. Where is your adjustments? How much have you grown since the Mayweather-Lotta fights, tough fights? I thought he lost a Lotta fight. How much have you grown if we can't see it? Yes, Danny Jacobs is a good fighter, but he's, again, Andre never been stopped. Charlo never been stopped. Undefeated, right? Charlo has a chin. Demetrius Andrade is not getting hit with some crazy shit, so it looks like he has a chin. I don't remember the last time he'd been down since Vanes Martirosyan, right? You bypass that to fight the guy who had some close recent performances against Derevyanchenko and Mad Selesky and been stopped before and lost to Triple G. Even though I thought he won, you know, he didn't get the victory on the scorecard. So we know what it is. We unpack. Let me know what you guys think. Virgil Hunter and my comments on a potential Canelo Kovalev fight. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. We unpack, coming to you live.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.